Hey guys, what's going on? It's Hey Coach Ryan, episode 6. We're going to jump right into it today with a question from Maartje. And Maartje asks, Hey Coach Ryan, I ran 69 miles in 2 days over the weekend. I sat in ice baths for 30 minutes in between and after to speed up recovery. Our body and legs feel fine, like nothing happened. But I ran 69 miles, so something happened. So how long should I recover, take it easy when my body does not show signs of hurt? It's a great question, and we're going to look at it from 2 points of view. One is from the general kind of training and science, and the second is the art and understanding who you are in the individual case here, because that's really important after we look at the science behind it. So how do we gain fitness, right? So how do we become more fit, and how does a 1 mile easy run not have an impact on our body, but why does a 30-mile easy run have an impact on our body? Why do we have to recover from that? It's all based on a concept called the General Adaptation Principle, which can be explained in 4 very easy terms, and we're going to illustrate those. Okay, time is going to be on the x-axis. That means going this way. Fitness is going to be on the y-axis, going this way, and also represented by the x-axis is our baseline of fitness, meaning that we are fit at this level right now. Okay, if we're up here, we're more fit. If we're down here, we're less fit. Now, the first part of General Adaptation Principle is stress. So we're going to provide a stress to our body when we work out. That stress can, be expressed with intensity and with duration. If you're lifting weights, like how heavy is it, whatever, however we measure the stress on our body. Now, if you provide a lot of stress to your body, that means you lose fitness. If you provide a lot of stress to your body, that means you lose more fitness. If it's an easy run, you're probably not going to lose any fitness if it's a very short, quick, easy run. So what happens is over time, over days, we provide that stress and our fitness deteriorates. What we have to do to balance that stress is provide recovery. So this could be through the form of easy running, it could be through the form of cross training, swimming, it could be the form of rest, however we want to do that. If we've done these 2 things correctly, what happens is we recover at a level higher than where we started. So again, this was our original level of fitness. Now we've recovered over that original level of fitness, which is a term called overcompensation. Our body has overcompensated for the stress we put on with the recovery, and now our baseline of fitness is higher. Great. As our baseline level of fitness is now higher, we want to now do the same thing. Provide a stress, give ourselves a recovery, and have a higher baseline level of fitness. Provide a stress, give ourselves recovery, higher baseline of fitness. And we follow that trend all the way, and that's how we become more fit. Now, this is a very ideal way to do it. It doesn't always work out like this, obviously, but this is the trend that we want to follow. The trend that's not mentioned is a term called regression. Okay? Drawing out this, same axes as up here. Right? If we provide a stress, we provide a recovery, we overcompensate. If we don't provide the next stress soon enough, we regress back toward our original baseline level of fitness. If we don't provide a stress at all, if I get sick and I sit out for 7 days or 14 days of running, we continue to regress, all right? And we continue to lose our baseline level of fitness. And if that happens far enough, now our baseline level is here, and that's where we need to start from, okay? So yes, it is designated as stress, but we can also lose fitness just from regression and from not doing anything. All right, so this is how we look at training. So over time, this could be over days, this can be over months, this can be over years, but this is a pattern that we want to follow. In the case of how I train people for miles to go, it's definitely with very, very small increases, very small stresses and very small bouts of recovery and very small gains. Because what I want to do is I want this to be over months and years. I don't want this to be over days and weeks. And I don't want to be having these big, massive swings where I'm stressing people really, really hard, and then I'm hoping that we give them adequate recovery so that we have a really high bout of overcompensation. Different coaches look at this differently, and also you can put this on different athletes differently. Now I'm going to do a shout out to Chandy here, so she'll watch this and I'll make sure I tag her in it. Chandy, this is why you can't do hard workouts every day. If you were to do hard workouts every day, I'll erase this. This is what it would. If you were to do hard workouts every day, this is what it would look like, okay? stress, 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 a little bit of recovery, stress, 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 a little bit of recovery, a little bit of stress, 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 stress. So you never actually reach back to your original baseline of fitness because you need the recovery. And in terms of recovery, when you're looking at making a general training cycle for running, recovery is just easy running. Easy 45 minutes, an hour, which does not provide any sort of massive stress to your body, done at a very low heart rate, allows you to recover. This is why you can't do hard workouts every day, because you never actually go higher than your initial level of fitness. If you let yourself rest and you provide these big stresses and then these big bouts of rest, right, you don't actually see as many gains as just doing smaller and smaller and smaller. All right, so how does this actually work for Maartje? So in terms of Maartje, we had a couple things going for us. One is her background, her original background. So she's Dutch, she comes from the Netherlands, so she grew up cycling, commuting, doing all that stuff. So she has tons of miles in her legs just from her day-to-day life. And she continues to follow that lifestyle here in the US. So she bikes to work every day, she runs, she runs, run commutes and does that as part of her training. And she's just an active person. So that activity means that providing a stress on her body that would be like an easy 6 or 8 mile run isn't really a stress, or riding your bike 10 or 20 miles isn't a stress. So what would normally be a big stress for someone else, for her isn't. In terms of looking at this general adaptation, she had a bike accident that was a couple weeks before. And we were actually supposed to have a marathon that weekend. So there was this bout of rest that we had planned. So any sort of big stress that we had was really offset by a big amount of recovery, which was almost like 7 days of non-running and not doing that marathon. So whereas I had that harder road marathon effort planned, it never took place. So she was really fully recovered when she came back from her injury, and she bounced back from the bike crash pretty fast. She had a couple longer days in the mountains, but for her, a 6 to 8 hour day in the mountains might be hard, but at a low heart rate, which I know that she keeps, it's not a huge stress to her body, because I can see how her heart rate, I can look at her heart rate, I can hear what she's saying, and I can look at the other workouts that we're doing, and we're not getting this massive bout of stress. So for her, when in this case, we had a huge weekend that wasn't a huge weekend in terms of where we were in this cycle. So we were really, really well recovered. So we could provide we were really, really well recovered. So we could provide a really big stress, but it didn't take us that far below of where her baseline of fitness was, because of the recovery that we had planned into it. And also, if you look at, it was 69 miles for her for the weekend. We were averaging, over 70 miles, 75, 80 miles a week, with 10,000 feet of gain over the last 3 weeks because of the trek she was doing in the White Mountains. So the event itself, which was 69 miles, but which was done at a conversational pace heart rate, combined with where she was in this cycle in terms of she was at a really, her fitness may have been a little lower, but she also was super well recovered. And combined with the effort that she did compared to her overall life, which is, going out for a 70-mile weekend is a big weekend, but it's not a huge weekend compared to when you look at training over the months and the years, which is why she came out feeling like this. She also doesn't have a lot of biomechanical stuff, like she has a really nice gait. She doesn't deal with any big lasting injuries, so there was none of that was going to creep up during this race. So that's where we are. That's why we had this sort of good weekend. Now, how long should you recover from it? You should definitely listen to your body and say, oh, like this was a hard effort and I had to recover from it. And we've done it. So really over the course of the last 5 days since the weekend, she's run commuted and you've done that. And I think we're in a good spot. So we're going to do some Saturday and Sunday, we're going to do a little bit of a long run, hour and a half, and then start back into it next week. So essentially we've taken a week to make sure that you recover from it so that we have the amount of recovery that we want. We maybe regressed a little bit in it. We may have, but what we didn't do certainly is stay a lot lower in terms of the stress, leading toward a possible overtraining issue. So that's basically how we did it. In a nutshell, we look at general adaptation principle to make sure that we're stressing, we're recovering, we're doing all of that. we don't want to stress our body too much because we never recover and come back to where we are. And in Maartje's case, a really big endurance background combined with miles and miles and miles on her legs, combined with where she ended up in this cycle, meant that she had a really good weekend, and it was where we wanted to be because she's not showing any huge signs of fatigue or ill effects from it. So that's where we're at. General adaptation principle plus a good weekend means 70 miles without a lot of pain. So that's episode 6. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if I can explain anything, any of this other stuff anymore. And we will be back on Monday with episode 7.